Have you ever wondered why life can sometimes feel like a constant battle against disappointment, frustration, or pain? Over 1,500 years ago, Gautama Buddha asked the same question and found a revolutionary path to freedom from suffering. He called it the Four Noble Truths, a roadmap that remains just as vital in today's chaotic world. In this guide, we'll delve into these profound teachings to see how they can help you break free from life's struggles, find inner peace, and live with greater clarity and compassion. The origin of the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths are the cornerstone of Buddhist philosophy, stemming from the moment Gautama Buddha achieved enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. After years of ascetic practices and spiritual searching, he realized the roots of human suffering and how to resolve them. Instead of keeping these insights hidden, he began to share them widely. First in the deer park at Sarnath, so that all beings could experience liberation. In essence, the Four Noble Truths are Buddha's concise description of why we suffer and how to stop. Think of them as a doctor's diagnosis and prescription. They clarify the nature of the problem, identify its cause, confirm that healing is possible, and outline the treatment. Over centuries, this simple structure has guided countless monks and laypeople to a more peaceful, purposeful life. Even in our modern age, its wisdom resonates because it addresses not just outer conditions, but the very mindset that underlies our pain. The first noble truth, the reality of suffering. Dukkha. The first noble truth states that suffering, dukkha, is an inherent part of existence. This doesn't mean life is only suffering, but rather that challenges like illness, aging, loss, and dissatisfaction touch everyone. Buddha noticed that even pleasurable experiences carry the seed of suffering because they inevitably change or end. We cling to what we love and loathe what we dislike, creating an ongoing cycle of emotional turbulence. It's important to note that dukkha often translates to suffering, but it can also mean unsatisfactoriness. In other words, even when our basic needs are met, a sense of discontent can linger. Why aren't we perfectly happy once we have comfort, success, or recognition? Buddha concluded that some deeper cause must be at play, something beyond external circumstances. By recognizing this truth, we begin to look inward instead of blaming external events for our unhappiness. In daily life, reflecting on the first noble truth encourages us to see our experiences for what they are, fleeting, changeable, and often out of our control. This recognition, rather than making us depressed, can motivate us to seek a more stable form of well-being that isn't shaken by life's ups and downs. The second noble truth, the cause of suffering, samudaya. Having identified that suffering permeates our lives, Buddha probed its origins. He discovered that our suffering primarily arises from craving or attachment, the relentless desire for pleasure, avoidance of pain, and longing for things to be different than they are. Called tanha in Pali, this craving manifests in many forms: longing for a better job, pining for someone else's success, or desperately wanting to avoid uncomfortable emotions. According to Buddha, the issue isn't that we have wants or needs, it's our clinging to them. We mistakenly believe that by obtaining certain things or conditions, we'll finally secure lasting happiness. But since all things are impermanent, chasing them leads to a perpetual cycle of temporary relief followed by renewed yearning. Think of it like a treadmill. You run faster to catch the next desirable thing, only to realize you're still in the same place of discontent. Understanding the second noble truth reveals how our mindset traps us in dukkha. When we blindly follow cravings, we fuel stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. This insight isn't about denying ourselves joy. Rather, it's about recognizing that joy dependent on external factors will always be fragile. Freeing ourselves from the grip of craving opens the door to a more stable, enduring contentment that doesn't vanish whenever circumstances shift. The third noble truth, the end of suffering, nirodha. If suffering arises from craving, then logically, it can also end when we let go of that craving. This revelation is the third noble truth. Buddha's assurance that liberation, nirvana, is possible. It answers the deep-seated fear many people have that life must always be marked by unease. In essence, if we can uproot the causes of dissatisfaction, then peace isn't just a distant hope, it's an attainable reality. Nirodha, cessation, doesn't imply that life becomes free from challenges. Rather, it means we're no longer enslaved by them. We learn to experience both joys and sorrows without the constant grasping or aversion that stirs inner turmoil. Buddha described this state as unshakable freedom of mind, where we see the world clearly without getting lost in desires or fears. For modern readers, the third noble truth is both comforting and motivating. It tells us that no matter how entrenched our habits of stress or discontent, transformation remains within reach. Even small steps like practicing mindfulness, refining our intentions, or learning compassion can begin chipping away at the mental patterns that keep us bound. Each moment spent in mindful awareness or kind action helps cultivate the conditions for lasting tranquility. The fourth noble truth, the path to liberation, Magga. Finally, the fourth noble truth offers the eightfold path, which Buddha likened to a prescription or method for ending suffering. Comprising right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, this path outlines ethical, mental, and cognitive training that frees us from craving's grip. It's essentially a comprehensive life practice encompassing how we think, speak, and act in the world. Each right in the Eightfold Path indicates a balanced approach, avoiding extremes and ensuring we align with Buddha's core values of compassion, understanding, and non-harm. For instance, right livelihood means earning a living in a way that doesn't exploit or harm others, while right mindfulness encourages staying present rather than drifting into regrets of the past or anxieties about the future. What makes this path so powerful is its practicality. You can apply it whether you're meditating or buying groceries, whether you're a monk or an office worker. Buddha never intended his teachings to be abstract philosophy. He aimed for them to be lived day by day as a means to reduce suffering in all areas of life. Embracing this path doesn't guarantee instant transformation, but it sets you on a trajectory toward greater peace, clarity, and moral integrity. Applying the four noble truths in modern life. Life in the 21st century may differ drastically from ancient India, but the mental and emotional struggles remain strikingly similar. Stress, burnout, interpersonal conflicts, and a sense that something's missing. The Four Noble Truths serve as a timeless framework to address these problems at their roots. First, recognize suffering by naming what's causing you distress, whether it's work stress or relational tension, without denial or blame. Then, identify craving by asking yourself what you're clinging to: approval, control, material possessions, and noticing how this intensifies your discomfort. Next, believe in relief, remembering that peace becomes possible as you release rigid expectations and learn to navigate life with openness. Finally, practice the path by gradually integrating moral discipline, mindfulness, and focused effort. You might start with a short morning meditation or reflect on how to align your job with compassionate values. Even small steps can yield surprising benefits. A daily mindfulness session, for instance, can help you catch unhelpful thought loops before they spiral, while aligning your lifestyle with non-harm reduces stress in relationships and fosters goodwill. Over time, these incremental changes can amount to a significant shift in how you experience your day-to-day reality. Common misconceptions about suffering and freedom. Some people worry that acknowledging suffering means becoming negative, or that letting go of attachment means giving up on happiness. Buddha's teachings clarify these misunderstandings. Recognizing suffering doesn't mean wallowing in misery. It's about honestly seeing the challenges so you can respond skillfully. Letting go of craving doesn't kill your joy. It actually creates space for genuine, unclouded happiness that doesn't vanish the moment conditions change. Another misconception is that the path demands rigid asceticism. In fact, Buddha advocated a middle way, steering clear of both indulgence and self-punishment. The aim is balance and discernment, not extremes. You're free to enjoy life's pleasures, good food, art, or friendship, without clinging to them as the source of your identity or fulfillment. When you understand that your well-being isn't solely dependent on external factors, you gain a resilient contentment that endures through life's ebbs and flows. The real power of the Four Noble Truths. Beyond mere theology or philosophy, the Four Noble Truths serve as a living practice. They offer a way to reinterpret every stressful event, each emotional reaction, and each life decision through the lens of awareness and compassion. Over centuries, monks and lay practitioners alike have used these truths to transform their outlook, demonstrating that this path isn't an archaic relic but a vital, human-centric approach to finding fulfillment. When we see that suffering is universal, we grow more compassionate toward ourselves and others. No one is exempt from hardship. We grasp that clinging fuels dissatisfaction, so we become more flexible and open. Realizing that freedom is possible gives us hope and a clear direction for self-improvement. Finally, the Eightfold Path guides us day by day, reminding us that each choice matters on the road to liberation. In a sense, the Four Noble Truths empower you to become your own healer, diagnosing and treating the very roots of your emotional and spiritual aches. At its heart, the Four Noble Truths show that suffering is neither permanent nor inevitable. By acknowledging what causes our distress and following the path to release it, we can experience a profound shift in how we live and relate to others. What part of this wisdom speaks to you most right now? Share your reflections in the comments. And if you're eager to explore more about Buddha's teachings and practical steps toward inner peace, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Monk Mindset. May your path be one of growing insight and freedom. Have you ever felt stuck in a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions? Like your mind had a life of its own, dragging you along for the ride? More than 2,500 years ago, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, faced a similar struggle, leading him to profound insights about the mind. Contrary to quick fixes or suppressive tactics, Buddha's approach centers on transforming our relationship with inner experiences. By learning to watch thoughts come and go, we grow less reactive and more at peace. This script unpacks key Buddhist principles and practical methods to help you cultivate a steady, clear mind, even amid modern chaos. Why our thoughts and emotions can feel overwhelming. In today's hyper-connected world, our minds process an onslaught of stimuli, social media notifications, endless tasks, and constant stressors. From Buddha's viewpoint, much of our mental strain boils down to attachment and aversion. We grasp after what we desire and repel what we fear. This intensifies both our cravings and anxieties. Think about replaying a hurtful comment over and over, or obsessing over future what-ifs. Buddha noted that suffering expands when we identify too closely with every fleeting mental event. Instead of seeing thoughts as passing occurrences, we treat them as absolute truths. The result is tension, worry, and sometimes despair. Buddha recognized that simply forcing thoughts to stop doesn't work. You need a new approach, one where you observe, rather than battle, your mental states. By noticing how ephemeral each thought or feeling is, you free yourself from being controlled by them. This shift forms the foundation of Buddhist mental training, acknowledging thoughts as impermanent happenings, not unchangeable facts. Buddha's radical shift. Observing the mind. One of Buddha's core teachings is mindful observation. Before enlightenment, Siddhartha Gautama tried austere methods but found lasting change through calmly watching his mind. He realized that telling yourself, "Stop thinking," rarely succeeds. Real progress comes from seeing thoughts and emotions as momentary, non-defining phenomena. In modern terms, this is akin to a metacognitive skill, awareness of your mental processes. If anger arises, you note, "Anger is here," then track how it manifests physically, tightness in the shoulders, a surge of heat in the chest, without fueling it. Monks systematically practice this in meditation. They watch each thought appear and fade. Over time, they develop equanimity, a balanced mind that doesn't latch onto pleasant feelings or recoil from unpleasant ones. In daily life, even brief recognition of your mind's patterns disrupts autopilot reactions. When frustration or temptation appears, you pause and witness it. This vantage point dissolves impulsive habits and fosters a sense of freedom. Instead of drowning in the storylines your mind spins, you stand on the bank, seeing thoughts flow by like leaves on a river. The illusion of control and how to transcend it. People often interpret controlling your thoughts as forcing them to stop. Buddha taught the opposite. Controlling the mind means relating differently to thoughts, not repressing them. Rigidly trying to silence thoughts can breed inner conflict. Instead, Buddha showed how seeing thoughts as fleeting, not reflective of an unchanging self, reduces their emotional charge. Imagine a leaf drifting on water. If you jump in, attempting to snatch or push it away, you waste energy and get soaked. Standing on the bank, observing, requires less effort. Similarly, emotional states are less overwhelming when you adopt a calm, observing stance. This doesn't deny painful memories or worries. It acknowledges them as transient mental events. Compassionate acceptance is key. You treat these internal visitors kindly, without letting them hijack your sense of self. You realize, I'm experiencing anger, instead of declaring, I am angry. That subtle shift dilutes negative energy. Over time, you build a new mental reflex, pausing before reacting, freeing you to choose wiser responses. Practical methods, from meditation to daily rituals. Buddha's teachings aren't meant to stay in the realm of theory. They're designed for daily integration. One core practice is sitting meditation, samatha vipassana, where you devote 10 to 20 minutes to a quiet posture, focusing on your breath or a specific object. Each time thoughts wander, you gently return to your focal point, building concentration, samatha, and insight, vipassana. Walking meditation follows a similar principle, only now you observe each step's sensation, acknowledging mental distractions as they arise, then returning to your stride. Beyond structured meditation, mindful breaks woven into your day can reset a frazzled mind. Simply pause, inhale deeply, exhale slowly, and notice what you're feeling. Another helpful tool is compassion meditation, metta, silently wishing peace and happiness for yourself and others, thereby softening harsh self-talk. Lastly, a habit of journaling helps you track emotional flare-ups and their triggers, shedding light on recurring patterns. Each approach, from dedicated meditation sessions to small mindful interludes, accumulates into a comprehensive mental training regimen that fosters clarity and calm under pressure. Emotional intelligence, transforming fear, anger, and desire. Buddha's approach parallels modern emotional intelligence, which emphasizes awareness, regulation, and empathy. Anger often arises from perceived threats, fear from anticipating harm, desire from yearning for security or pleasure. These emotions serve adaptive roles, yet they become problematic when we over-identify with them. Rather than labeling your fear or anger as bad, you note it as a visitor passing through. Is your fear rooted in a past trauma? Is your anger a mask for feeling inadequate? Buddha taught that once you see the root of an emotion, its power to commandeer your actions diminishes. Cultivating such clarity expands empathy too. When you understand how your mind can be overtaken by worry or rage, you empathize better with others facing similar storms. This synergy underlies Buddhist compassion. The more you comprehend your own mental states, the more you appreciate others' struggles. Emotional intelligence thus becomes a two-way street, benefiting your internal stability and fueling altruistic connections. The power of non-attachment, upadana. In Buddhism, upadana refers to grasping or clinging, a primary cause of mental turmoil. Non-attachment means you engage fully with life, knowing everything, goals, relationships, even your emotional highs, is impermanent. This perspective lowers anxiety about outcomes. For instance, working toward a promotion is healthy ambition. But if you tie your self-worth to achieving it, any failure or delay inflames your mind. Non-attachment encourages diligence without the stress of hinged identity. You do your best without letting the result define your sense of self. When it comes to internal states, non-attachment fosters a more peaceful mind. Thoughts and feelings arise, but you don't chain your identity to them. By reminding yourself thoughts are events, not deep truths, you fluidly navigate emotional waves. This approach fosters a confident, flexible psyche. Energy is channeled into present-moment action instead of wasted on frantic control. Dissolving the ego, where real freedom begins. Buddha's teaching of anatta, no self, radically shifted how practitioners see themselves. We often cling to an I that we feel needs defending. Emotions intensify when they threaten our self-image. If your mind ruminates on a slight or criticism, it's often because you believe it undermines your stable self. Yet deeper meditation reveals the self as a fluid construct. Emotions and thoughts shift constantly. There isn't a permanent me beneath them. This can be liberating. If anger or sorrow doesn't define you, there's space to let it dissolve. You don't ignore these experiences. You simply stop letting them hijack your identity. Monks systematically explore no-self in quiet retreat, observing how mental states come and go without a central operator. You can approach it more gradually by noticing how your opinions, preferences, even personality traits evolve over time. Such awareness diffuses ego-based anxieties. You still feel hurt or fear, but it's no longer the defining narrative of who you are. Freed from the burden of protecting a rigid self, you handle thoughts and emotions with greater ease and compassion. How Buddha's teachings fit into everyday modern life. At first, it might seem that monastic discipline and ancient teachings can't mesh with hectic modern living. But the Noble Eightfold Path and Buddha's insights are shockingly adaptable. Consider weaving mindful practices into your daily schedule. A short sunrise meditation can anchor your focus. A mindful lunch break can calm midday stress. An evening journaling session can help you reflect on emotional triggers. You can also apply mindful listening in conversation. Instead of formulating your reply while the other person speaks, hold your attention on their words. If a stressful email arrives, take a few conscious breaths before responding. This short pause could prevent an impulsive, heated reply. Over time, these small interventions reshape your mental habits, reducing reactivity and increasing patience. Society might push you to multitask frenetically, but Buddha's approach encourages deliberate pacing. By focusing on one thing at a time, you align with right effort, doing what's needed without scattering your energy. The result is not a slow, unproductive life, but a more efficient, harmonious one, where mind and action sync up rather than clash. A roadmap for ongoing growth. If you're ready for deeper transformation, begin by identifying a few core objectives, such as reducing anxiety or managing anger constructively. Carve out a daily routine that includes simple meditation, 10 minutes focusing on breath or scanning body sensations. Whenever emotional triggers flare up, pause and label the feeling, sadness, tension, worry, to create space before reacting. Reflect on each day in a journal, noting where mindful awareness succeeded and where autopilot took over. Embrace support systems. Read Buddhist texts like the Dhammapada or seek online talks by modern Buddhist teachers, absorbing guidance that refines your practice. Over time, subtle shifts become pronounced. Fewer thought spirals, quicker emotional recovery, and a greater sense of inner stability. You'll see that controlling thoughts and emotions isn't about shutting them down, but guiding them through mindful comprehension. A skill honed day by day, aligning your mind with the enduring wisdom of Buddha. Buddha's secret to mastering thoughts and emotions doesn't hinge on suppressing them. It hinges on recognizing their impermanence and meeting them with compassionate awareness. By practicing mindfulness, releasing attachment, and embracing the fluidity of self, you cultivate a mind that stays centered amid life's tempests. Which Buddhist insight resonates most with you? Feel free to share in the comments. And if this deep dive has inspired you, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Monk Mindset, for more strategies on living with clarity, balance. Have you ever felt like the day slipped away without accomplishing anything truly meaningful? In a world full of distractions and constant demands, it's all too easy to squander our precious time and energy. Yet if we look to Gautama Buddha and the monks who follow his teachings, we'll find a radical alternative, one built on clarity, balance, and purposeful living. In this guide, we'll explore Buddhist insights that help us master our energy, cut through distractions, and make each moment truly count. Why we struggle with time and energy. Modern life can feel like a blur of tasks, messages, and obligations pulling us in countless directions. We say we have no time, yet we often slip into mindless scrolling or procrastination. According to Buddhist thought, the real problem isn't a shortage of hours. It's a lack of mindful intention. We bounce between cravings for entertainment, novelty, or comfort, and aversions, avoidance of challenging tasks, which drains our vitality and scatters our focus. Buddha recognized this inner restlessness as a form of suffering. By constantly chasing fleeting distractions, we miss out on the deeper, more fulfilling aspects of life. We remain busy but unfulfilled, exhausted by the constant mental noise. Instead of acting with purpose, we drift through each day without a clear sense of direction. Understanding this pattern is the first step in reclaiming our energy. Once you see how short-term impulses sap your mental and emotional reserves, you can begin to shape a life that reflects your higher values, not just your impulses. Buddha's insight on distraction. In the Buddhist worldview, distraction arises when our minds become enthralled by every passing desire or worry. Instead of focusing on meaningful goals, we veer off course at every shiny temptation. Buddha taught that the mind behaves like an untamed elephant, easily spooked and prone to rampaging if not properly trained. This metaphor might sound dramatic, but it points to how chaotic our inner world can be if left unchecked. Monks tackle this by practicing mindfulness and concentration. Rather than eliminating all desires, they learn to observe them without being controlled by them. The constant pull of social media notifications or the lure of binge-watching might feel irresistible, but these are just modern forms of ancient temptations, quick fixes that keep us from more profound engagements. Buddha's wisdom suggests that each time we're pulled toward distraction, we should pause and ask, will this truly benefit me in the long run? By repeatedly returning to what matters, we break the cycle of wasted energy and foster a sense of calm purpose in everything we do. Mindful priorities. Aligning time with values. One of the reasons we waste time is the mismatch between our daily activities and our deeper values. Monks live by clear priorities, meditation, service, study, that align with their spiritual aims. This clarity directs how they invest their energy from sunrise to sunset. You don't need to be in a monastery to adopt a similar approach. Start by listing what genuinely matters to you: family, health, creativity, personal growth, or community service. Then, examine how much of your daily schedule reflects those values. If there's a huge gap, that's where your energy leaks. Suppose you claim family matters most, yet spend evenings lost in social media rants or idle browsing. Over time, this discrepancy erodes your sense of purpose. A more mindful approach would be planning specific time to be fully present with loved ones, devices aside, mind open. By making such intentional choices, you conserve energy for what enriches you rather than letting it dissipate on unfulfilling activities. As Buddha would advise, right intention plus right effort can drastically reshape your life. The middle way for balanced energy. Buddha's famous middle way teaches that neither self-indulgence nor strict austerity leads to lasting peace. The same logic applies to how you manage your time and energy. Swinging between frantic multitasking and total avoidance, binging on shows for hours, creates a cycle of guilt, exhaustion, and eventual burnout. Monks avoid these extremes by establishing consistent, balanced routines, waking early, allocating set periods for work, rest, and meditation, and maintaining a measured pace throughout the day. Try this in your schedule. Block out realistic time for focused tasks and include genuine breaks for rest and enjoyment. Overloading your to-do list sets you up for failure, while having no structure invites chaos. Aim for a sweet spot, a few key tasks that genuinely move you forward, interspersed with breaks to recharge. Like monks, you'll discover that balanced energy management yields better concentration and more consistent progress, freeing you from the all-or-nothing trap. Minimizing time wasters. A Buddhist approach. Time wasting often stems from unconscious habits, compulsively checking social media, scrolling through endless feeds, or endlessly reorganizing tasks instead of doing them. Buddha taught that habits become entrenched through repetition, but they can also be undone by awareness and substitution. For instance, if you catch yourself mindlessly browsing online, apply a short mindfulness exercise. Pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself if this activity aligns with your priorities. If it doesn't, gently switch to a more purposeful action. Monks systematically reduce clutter in their environments and minds. They keep possessions minimal and routines simple, cutting down on potential distractions. You might try unsubscribing from unnecessary email lists, turning off non-essential notifications, or designating certain times of day as offline. This isn't about deprivation, it's about simplification. When you remove the clutter, you create space to direct your energy toward meaningful projects or relationships. Over time, small daily choices add up, reshaping your mindset from reactive to intentional. Compassion in action, energy used for good. Gautama Buddha's teachings emphasize that discipline isn't just a personal undertaking. It can serve the greater community. Monks often dedicate portions of their day to charitable work or communal chores, using their energy to uplift others. This outward focus can actually help maintain motivation. When you realize that your efficiency and focus benefit not only you, but also the people around you, procrastinating seems less appealing. If you're seeking new motivation to stop wasting time, consider how your improved productivity can help someone else. Could you volunteer in an area that resonates with you? Could you mentor a younger colleague or friend? By channeling energy into acts of compassion, you infuse your daily routine with deeper meaning. This aligns with the Buddhist value of interconnectedness. Our actions ripple outward, touching more lives than we might initially realize. Such a perspective fosters gratitude and a willingness to invest energy wisely, rather than frittering it away on trivial pastimes. Practicing non-attachment, freedom from perfectionism. Sometimes we waste time not because we're lazy, but because we're paralyzed by perfectionism. In Buddhism, attachment to outcomes can bind us just as tightly as any other craving. If we cling to the idea that everything must be flawless, we hesitate to start or spend hours tweaking minor details. Monks learn non-attachment by acknowledging that no result is permanent or perfect. Effort matters more than an impossible standard. For you, practicing non-attachment might mean setting a reasonable time limit on a task and allowing it to be good enough. This approach frees you to move on without second-guessing every detail. Over time, you learn to focus on the present action rather than obsessing over external validation. Each completed task, even if imperfect, becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. Buddha's teachings remind us that our real work is to cultivate a clear, stable mind that can adapt to life's changes, not to chase illusions of permanence or perfection. Making time a sacred resource. Monks often view time as sacred, not to be squandered on mindless diversions. Each sunrise is an invitation to practice mindfulness, serve others, and deepen understanding. Adopting that mindset, you begin to see your schedule as something precious, a canvas for living out your values. This might mean consistently meditating each morning, carving out time for a passion project, or setting boundaries around your evenings for family or introspection. Over time, these monk-inspired habits transform your relationship with time. You drop the notion that days are infinite. Instead, you treat each moment as an opportunity to invest energy in alignment with who you wish to become. When you do slip, falling back into old distractions or habits, you approach it with compassion, gently returning to your new routine. This cyclical process of mindful effort, error, and rededication is how real growth unfolds, echoing the never-ending path of self-improvement taught in Buddhism. Mastering your energy and cutting out wasted time isn't about punishing yourself or living joylessly. It's about channeling your focus in a way that supports your deepest intentions. As Buddha's teachings show, small, consistent changes create a profound shift toward clarity and purpose. Which strategy will you try first? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found value here, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Monk Mindset, for more insights on building a disciplined, fulfilling life rooted in Buddhist wisdom. May your journey be one of mindful growth and lasting peace.